What is your why? Do you want dynamic growth? Do you feel stuck? It's time to fix your why.
Hello, I'm Billy Ryan. Thank you for joining me on the Fix Your Why podcast. My guest today is podcaster and owner of Mariposa Realty, Caralee Gurney.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining.
You bet. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Mariposa and maybe, kind of how it started and what it means to you today.
So that's an interesting story. You're asking for a big question there. But anyway, I've been in the business. That's a good way to get started. That's a great way to get started. I've been in the business 11 years and started way back when you could name your company kind of whatever you wanted. And so I was Caralee Gurney and Associates. And at one point they said, hey, you can't use Associates. And I decided I didn't want to use my name in it anymore, but I wanted to use something special. So I took a special circumstance with one of my friends who was diagnosed with breast cancer and decided to name my company after her situation and to honor her. She died of breast cancer in 2005. And she had gone out in the field when she first found out she was sick at her family's ranch, sat Indian style under the cloud-free day and started praying. And she prayed to see how she was doing. And as she opened her eyes, because she felt some kind of something over her, she looked up and it was a buzzard and wasn't exactly what she expected. So she quickly closed her eyes again and began to pray for her family and ask how, they were going to handle this. And when she opened her eyes, she saw a flock of yellow butterflies flying around her. And Mariposa means butterfly in Spanish. And for us, butterflies transform, and we feel like we're transforming the lives of the people who we sell homes to and sell homes for. And so we're transforming lives one home at a time.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. I'm sure that's you shared it well. I mean, it has to always, when you think about it, has to kind of tug on your heart a little bit.
Absolutely.
I love the concept of transforming people's lives. Tell me how you, on a day-to-day basis, how do you make that a reality?
It's interesting because every single client we have is a different scenario. Yeah, it may be someone who, gosh, they found themselves come upon hard times and need to downsize. And, this is the biggest investment of someone's life most of the time. And so it can be very emotional. And for others, it's their first home and, they don't know what they're doing and they have 1,000 questions, which I love to answer. And then someone else might just be ready to, move into the bigger house or retire. And so every situation is different. And each one of those situations, they're transforming their lives. They're changing something about their life that was, different yesterday. And so we feel like we're a part of making that happen on a day-to-day basis, just based on each individual we work with.
That's great. This podcast, I'm really hoping to touch people and help them improve their lives. Mm-hmm. And for some, it will be transformational. And it's great for me to sit down with others like you who have a story to tell that might touch people in a particular way. As you look back over let's say the last 10 years, what opportunities or challenges have shaped your commitment to transforming people's lives?
It's interesting because I do what I do really just because I enjoy it. It's not something I have to do. And I can't say that about any other job I've ever had. And this is the longest time I've spent in one location. So, to me, I do what I do because I love it. But as far as challenges go, I'd say my two biggest challenges, one is going to be the person I'm dealing with. For the most part, everything's lovely, but you have different scenarios that pop up that do help shape you. And it may be that I didn't know about something and I learned about it, unfortunately, through maybe an error or something. But those things are what shape me and what make me experience now. And I'd say some of those things are really more in my younger days in the profession. So definitely experiences help shape who I am. And then people's demeanor, the way that we work together. Each person I probably learned something different from. When I first got in the business, someone who had been in the business close to 30 years at the time said, you will still learn something with every different transaction, and that still holds true. So that's one. The other is the changing market. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of, just how the market changes and how your business is not always consistent, fairly consistent, and you try to do the things that keep it as close to consistent as you can. But there are some years that just aren't the same as the others.
For sure.
Just think about the past few years that we've had that has been something no one expected. With the shifts in the market, either good or bad, definitely helps shape me as well.
Yeah, that's great. My background's in real estate almost my whole life. Grew up in a home building company, and that's the story in my book. Currently, I'm a real estate advisor in Florida. I work for Compass, and I'm part of a group called the 6 a.m.ers. And we're up every morning at 6 a.m., either answering a question of the day or participating in a Zoom call. And I think it's fair to say that realtors in the past kind of had a bad rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I could label selfish or what the right label would be used by people. I've had the good fortune. This group of 6 a.m.ers are just amazing human beings who talk about these challenges every day, market challenges, the challenges of customers. We joke sometimes about firing customers and whether you should fire a customer. But, I am struck by just the amazing heart that these people have
Mm-hmm.
for their clients and the goodness that they want to bring to their life. Because like you say, it's the biggest purchase most people will make. It can be a tedious process with all the paperwork, so that can be daunting to people. We talk a lot lately about the changing market.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel if you're good at real estate, you sort of welcome change, right? It's the opportunity for the cream to rise to the top. And yet at the same time, we have to deal with the fears that our clients are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in a market like we're experiencing now, those fears can be daunting for people. It can get them stuck in
Mm-hmm.
a place. When you meet those fears, obviously you can rely on your history of being successful at what you do. What is the number one message that you try to send people?
It's a lot of times they're fearful, and my message is to comfort them. So it depends on what the scenario is. If it's the
Yeah,
market, if it's the interest rate, I mean, that's the big thing right now is the interest rate. Everybody's afraid of that. Well, you can buy a house right now with a higher interest rate and refinance it. And
yes,
if you can comfort people in that and let them know, hey, that's not the end of the world. If this is the time that you need to buy a house, don't let that rule your life. It could be higher. It could go higher.
sure.
It could go lower. And when it does go lower, which it will at some point, you can refinance. And so, that's just one scenario, but it's taking your knowledge and your expertise and with confidence, letting them know
The
it's
confidence is a
okay.
big piece, and offering some perspective, right? I mean,
Correct.
interest rates are high relative to where we've been.
Right.
Um,
And the storytelling there is always important.
Very important. When we meet a market like this, and we have to stretch ourselves sometimes, right? Because you've said it might resemble a past market, but it's really never the same. There's always some nuance that makes it unique.
It's kind of like home style, never really goes back to exactly the way it was.
Yeah,
Maybe we've got some kind of vintage brass going on, but it's not the same as it was in the 80s.
Totally
It's the
agree.
same thing.
I loved what you said about, I don't need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this is something I talk about in the book, and it's a message that I really speak about often, and that is enjoying the journey. And that saying that if you love what you do, you don't
Mm-hmm.
work a day in your life. As you look into the future, and this difficult market's going to shift again, and we're going to shift in different ways. What do you hope to accomplish in, say, the next 3 years?
I just want to continue to grow what I'm doing. I mean, the most joy I've found in what I do is the friendships I've made, because most of them aren't just clients.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I've just gained this wealth of friendship that I wouldn't trade for anything. And the second thing is that I can just continue to really make a difference in people's lives. And that may be the same thing I'm doing today. That's in 3 years. I hope I do it on a bigger scale. Uh, if that makes any sense. I just
Yeah,
love what I do. I mean, there's not much I would change about it other than to just continue to do it.
that's awesome. If you think back to when you started as an
Mhm.
agent, how does the Caralee look back then to who she is today?
I think I look a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm more polished because that comes with experience. And I've learned a lot, not only just in the business and what's right and wrong, contract wise or regulation wise. I think my way of approaching people, my way of caring for people has changed. And I believe a lot of that's just by the people that I've met and the different scenarios that you're going, wow, I would have never expected this.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me.
It's interesting given I've got a deep background in real estate, and we do, as you say, we do leverage our sphere of influence, to be able to grow our business and maintain our business. I really enjoy working with customers who challenge my expertise in the market. I think I understand the real estate business pretty well. When I meet a customer who has a strong experience or view of the market, I love that. I mean,
Hmm.
it's we can have fun together talking about strategy, and I found that they really help me see the market more effectively, right? Because they might bring a view of the market that's slightly different than what we have, and it opens, I always find it kind of opens doors in my brain. Have you
I do feel that way. And, sometimes some questions I'm like, "Well, I don't know the answer to that."
Yeah.
But that's okay. Number one, I'm going to find out the answer. And number two, I'm going to learn something new with you in this experience and situation. Because I think as long as I've been in the business, someone will always ask me a question that challenges me, something I hadn't thought of before. Sometimes they're asking something I'm like, I've never, like on a contract, never had anybody ask me that question. So much that I really not sure I can answer the question, and I know those contracts really well. So I think that's fun. I like to learn something new that way.
I do too. And I think that's a great message for people that are listening who might be new to this business. Is the older I've gotten, the easier it's gotten for me to say I don't know.
Hmm.
I'll find that answer for you. Well, I've really enjoyed our time today, and
Absolutely.
we could talk for hours about the market and how it's changing. But thank you again
Thank
for
you. I
taking the
appreciate you
time,
having me on.
and appreciate everybody listening to another episode of the Fix Your Why podcast. Have a great day.